Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Dead on Dave, back once again. Thank you for coming back to the channel right here on Dead on Dave Productions. Everything is going swimmingly, and it's a Wednesday show. It's daily focus. It's random ass rant Wednesday, and I don't feel like being on camera today because I feel like crap. So I thought I would give everybody a meme show and just talk about some stuff that I wanted to get out there, and hopefully everybody will enjoy that. Also, I want to talk about a few things first. One, we are really going to probably be hitting 500 subs within the next 2 weeks, and we'll be doing that big giveaway that I've been teasing for months, doing the unboxings that I do. We take out items and we put them in what, baby? 500! Yes, Alicia's not here to do it. We put the items in the box that we want to give away, and then once we hit that 500 mark, we're going to give it away to somebody. One random subscriber. We're really close. It's coming, and that's awesome. It's a lot sooner than I expected, so that's going to be happening soon. So make sure if you have not subscribed yet and you feel that I have earned your subscription, please go ahead and subscribe and like and share. As always, help us out. All that being said, I'm really happy with the growth of this channel. Since September 21st, I think that we have done really good. That's when we started, and this channel has just, it's exceeded all my expectations. You guys are just incredible, all the support you guys give me. This is not the same old knob slobbing thing that I always do for you guys. There's actually a point this time because there's a favor I have that I'd like to ask. I realize that I am not the best social media guy in the world. I'm not very good with the Twitters and the Tumblrs, and there's stuff that I don't even know about. I have no idea how to use Reddit properly or any of these social media things. So there's a position now open right here at Dead on Dave Productions. It is not a paying position, of course, because I have no money. However, if you don't have a lot of time, if you want to put something on some kind of broadcasting resume or something like that, some type of internship or whatever, this could be a resume filler for you, because you can help this channel grow even more. And if you could imagine what that would do for anyone's resume, if you can say that you took my big fat duffy ass that sits on this couch and talked to people, and because if you joined at 421 subs and you take this channel and you help grow this channel to 5,000 subs, guess what? You have accomplished something great. You've accomplished something epic, and that will help grow your respective resumes, I think, or if you just want to help out with the show or whatever. Now, here's what I can do. I can't give you money, but if we do get big one day, yeah, we could talk about a few pennies a month or something like that, but I highly doubt it. But what I can do is this. I can get you on the show, give you a segment all to your own. We could work something out like that. Promote your show or your channel or whatever you're doing. I could also do that. A little barter agreement thing going on. So if anybody out there is interested, get in contact with me through any of the various methods of contacting me. Twitter is a great way to get in contact with me. Skype, I've given out my Skype information. I'll do it again. David Vancura, DavidVancura. YouTube, you can contact me right there. Facebook, / This Guy's Take on It. I know it's a weird one, but that's because of my old stuff. Google Plus. I'm all over. So you contact me, and even if it's just tips on how to be better with social media, I'll take it, because I think that we can grow this channel even more productively than we have. And I'm very impressed with the growth that is transpiring at the moment. But I think with proper social media pushing and usage, we could really make this thing special. So if you have anything that you want to add to the team, please, this would be a great opportunity to step forward now. All right, getting that out of the way, let's get to the news that I'm going to talk about. I'm going to start with UFC today, something we don't really talk about too much, but this is becoming a problem, not just in the UFC, but it's becoming a problem in sports more and more, and it seems to get forgotten about. But in UFC, this is actually a serious thing. Everyone loves the UFC. Everyone loves what's going on with it. But something is happening that it seems at least once a month we get this story that I feel over time it's going to completely eliminate the growth of the UFC. I can't put it any other way. 2 humongous names have tested positive for drugs. One, anabolic steroids. The other, marijuana. What if I told you those 2 guys were Anderson Silva and Nick Diaz? Now, I'm pretty sure you can figure out which one's which because we know that Nick Diaz loves his weed. And it is true. This is the 3rd time now Nick Diaz has been caught smoking weed. What kind of idiot does this? I mean, he keeps coming back, but yet he just doesn't care. He's going to get suspended again. He doesn't give a shit. But the surprising one, I think, for most people, and maybe not too surprising considering his age and the injury he just came off of, is Anderson Silva. The Spider, man, one of the greatest, if not the greatest fighter, not just UFC mixed martial artist. He could really, during his run, he's got to be up there with some of the greatest fighters, competitors of all time. He got caught for anabolic steroid use. This is insane to me. Now, I understand he came off that injury and he's probably trying to help heal and all of that, but he just did not seem the type. But then again, neither did Ryan Braun. Neither did Lance Armstrong. I mean, I defended Lance Armstrong like you would not believe. I defended him like he defended himself. I was just like, there's no way that Lance Armstrong did it. Not only did he do it, but he admits to this grand friggin' conspiracy that he manipulated, the things that he did and said to people. He sued so many people. And you know what the most disgusting thing is? He just released that if he can do it all over again, he'd probably do the same thing. That's how disgusting people are. It's insane to me. Ryan Braun ruined a man's career. Basically, in Major League Baseball, in the drug testing world. Ruined his career. Turned out the guy was right the whole time. It's crazy. It's crazy. And in the UFC, it's a problem. And nobody seems to be talking about it. But every month, there's people getting popped for steroids or marijuana use. John Jones's cocaine use, barely a blip on the radar. Like, it's crazy. If these things happen in other sports, and you have to understand, we're talking about Anderson Silva, Nick Diaz, and John Jones. Arguably 3 of the top 10 biggest names in the sport. It's insane. That's like going into any other sport. That's like going LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Kevin Durant all tested positive for steroids. Yeah, it's like in baseball, Mike Trout, Jason Worth, and Anthony Rizzo all popped hot for performance-enhancing drugs. I mean, this is crazy. It's like nobody, if that happened in any other sport, just can you imagine the firestorm that would be upon them right now? But it's UFC. It's UFC where most people consider, as much as the sport has grown and it's been mainstream accepted, people still look at these guys like they're friggin' animals. So they don't really care. It gets swept under the rug. They're going to get their suspension. But the reality is, if they want to, they can come back. Even Chael Sonnen, who recently got hit. You know, after he serves his time, I would not be surprised if he came back to the sport. I mean, because it's just not properly regulated, man. The consequences are nowhere near as dire in mixed martial arts as they are in other places. And I'm not talking just from suspensions and fines. I'm talking about public shaming, public humiliation, the court of opinion not turning on these guys like they do in other sports. This is crazy to me. The UFC, it should probably be the standard bearer for this thing, but yet they have the most problems, it seems, at least recently, of any sport in the world. And considering UFC has tried so hard to make itself one of those top 4, top 5 sports on the planet, because it likens itself with the NBA, with Major League Baseball, with the NFL. I mean, it really does. That's where they put themselves. And you know what? Based off the revenue and all the shows that they do now, they're not really that wrong. So why are they held to a different standard? If you guys have a reason as to why, please let me know, because this is mind-boggling to me. Mind-boggling. It was a terrible fight anyway, by the way. Moving on to another disgusting and stupid, mind-blowing friggin' thing. The NFL suspended wide receiver Josh Gordon for the entire season next year. For guess what? The same thing that he was suspended last year for, that he got away with, basically. He was supposed to serve a year-long suspension, but he only got 10 games for what? For marijuana use. This guy cannot stay out of his own way. He can, I mean, Jesus, all the talent this guy has. It's insane. This is a young kid. All the talent in the world was getting money thrown at him. How can you not stay out of your own way? I mean, Jesus, seriously? Is weed that important to you? And he claims that he's not an addict. Oh, I got news for you, buddy. You're an addict. You have got, if you can not get out of your own way enough to realize that you've just thrown your NFL career, you could have been one of the greatest wide receivers in history based off of your numbers that you were getting. I mean, it's crazy. And I know you weren't making a crap ton of money. And even with that, the money you were making, and you were already doing these type of drugs, I mean, what the hell's the matter with you? And I'm a marijuana guy. I'm all about legalizing it and stuff. Sure. The whole world, sports betting, marijuana, let it all out there. You know why? Because it won't last long. Because we're all a bunch of animals. We're all stupid. We have no self-control. The average person, yes, the average person does have great self-control. Sure. But why is that? Why do we have self-control? Because we know there are consequences for our actions. Most people can go, okay, if I go snort a friggin' line of coke off of a celebrity's tit on television, I'm going to get in trouble for that in some way, shape, or form. So I'm not going to do it. I could throw this brick through this window and take money out of this cash register, but I'll probably go to jail. So I don't do it. The reality is this. When everything becomes legal, when the drugs become legal, when the sports betting becomes legal, when these things are legal and they're open to everybody and the consequences that are tied to them have been taken away, they will be abused. Because that is humanity. That is civilization. And people want to argue for a moment. Just look back in history and you will see that I am right here. And history proves it time and time again. It gets abused. Now, maybe it's only abused by certain classes of people, but it's only a matter of time before it affects the rest. And regulations will be swiftly handed down yet again. Because here's what we do. We open things up. You know, marijuana will become legal throughout the world, and then people will start crashing their cars into each other and killing babies and stuff. You know, not that marijuana makes you do it, but marijuana makes you stupid enough to do stupid things. You know, maybe the average person isn't going to get behind the wheel of a car while high, but you know what? I know a lot of people that do. I know a lot of people who think that, hey, it's just marijuana, I can drive, but it does impair your coordination and things enough to where accidents will increase. It's just going to happen. Then you die, and then more people die, and then people are going to freak out because what happens? An overreaction. So now nothing is legal, nothing is regulated, or nothing is allowed. That's what happens. That's the ebb and flow of the world. Always has been, always will be. But it's crazy. It's insane. And the best proof of any of this are these athletes, these guys like Josh Gordon, who had all the promise in the world, and now it's probably gone. Historically, when these guys at young stages in their career miss seasons, not just games, but seasons of their sport, they rarely recover and be what they once were. So more than likely, Josh Gordon's career is over. More than likely, because he's a liability. Nobody's going to want to pay him because they know he cannot friggin' keep it together. He's got to smoke that weed. Why is it that important? I've never understood that. I scratched and clawed for so much, and I was so scared to throw anything away with just sheer stupidity. I mean, maybe some people can't handle the pressure. I get that. I understand that completely. I can't handle this. I got to smoke some weed. Okay. But really? Really? I mean, you've got to have a little bit of self-control. You've got to look at what outweighs what. And I know not everybody's wired the same way. But he was strong enough mentally to get to the NFL in the first place, which is not an easy thing to do. It is what it is. When it comes down to it, it just drives me insane to think about these things. All of the talent that gets wasted by bad decision making because you can't stop hanging around certain people. Johnny Manziel to check himself into rehab because he's out of control. He's out of control. There are guys out there who can party and be crazy and do insane things. Like, I don't know, Rob Gronkowski. He does insane things all the time. This guy broke his arm and then got caught on camera giving somebody a stone-cold stunner in a nightclub. But you know what? He can control himself most of the time. He could party like that and not have it affect anything else. He doesn't get popped for, he doesn't get DUIs. He does some stupid stuff, but he's a kid. He's supposed to do stupid things. Josh Gordon's a kid. He's supposed to do stupid things too, and it's completely understandable. But there's a line to which you got to know when to shut it off, and Gronkowski knows how to hit that line. Johnny Manziel obviously doesn't. And he's going to have the same type of problems within his career that Josh Gordon is having now. It's going to happen because there's type personalities that just cannot handle this type of success. And it should have been identified earlier in life, too. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, god dang. And you can say what you want. Well, I mean, that's everybody, Dave. Well, no, it's not, because you look at maybe one of the biggest, highly touted sports athletes, whatever, in the history of the world is LeBron James, who was basically, from the age of 7 years old, was told he was a god. He was the next Michael Jordan. And he's held it together. He's held it together. He's had a little bit of controversy with money early on in his life, like when he showed up at high school with an H-3 Hummer and stuff. But you know what? Those go away because it wasn't him. He's smart enough to be able to separate those things, and guess what? He stays out of his own way. And he's only enjoyed one of the greatest careers in all of sports. In all of sports. You look at a guy like Tiger Woods, too, who's had probably more demons than we will ever know. When he dies or when he gets 50 or 55, imagine the tell-all books that are going to come out about him. He's probably got Wilt Chamberlain numbers as far as girlfriends go. And it's all going to come out eventually. But aside from the one event that ended up basically costing him his entire career now, because he's nowhere near the golfer he once was, he held it together for a very long time. He didn't let all the mistresses, all the hookers, whatever he was doing, interfere with his life until one night it did. And what did he get? He got a golf club to the back of his Escalade. That's what he got, because you don't piss off the women in your life. That's why I don't ever piss this woman off right here. I know you can't see her right now, but I try to placate her as much as humanly possible. And when she upsets me, what do? I write songs about her menstruation. That's right, because that's what I do. What? What did I say? I love you.
I love you too.
That's right. Oh, there's Stephanie McMahon's butt. That's a nice butt. Anyway, so, I mean, look, I just wanted to touch on that a little bit and just throw my 2 cents out there. Okay, let's get into some wrestling. Let's get into why you guys come here. I read this article about a financial analyst that is predicting the doom of the WWE. And this thing absolutely drove me crazy, because his 3 reasons for them being doomed is just so stupid. He talks about the aging superstars. That's one of the biggest things that just makes no sense. And he cites Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair. They still regularly bring these guys out and expect them to be carrying. Oh, come on! They don't carry the company. This is throughout the history of wrestling. You bring out your greats, and it's all sports do it. By the way, every All-Star break, legends get brought out. Ted Williams was dying, basically, and they wheeled him out at Fenway Park in a friggin' wheelchair. You know why? Because people like to see legends. It's what they enjoy. It's not like Hulk Hogan's going for a title. It's not like Ric Flair is figure four and John Cena. No, they're doing little things to try and help keep the company afloat. If anything, they are sheerly an asset, not a liability, because WWE is not TNA. They're not putting him in the ring. They know better. Now, Hogan might get one more match, but who says he doesn't deserve that? Who said he hasn't earned that? So it drives me crazy. His other one is even stupider. If Vince McMahon were to drop dead today, who steps in? Well, this guy obviously knows nothing about professional wrestling. He knows nothing about the WWE because there is a hierarchy in place. There is a plan B to if Vince were to die. His name is Triple H, and he already has enough power to where he's running one full show. Something Vince McMahon would have never have done in the 80s or 90s. He would have never given away that type of power. Just would have never have happened. But he does it now. Why? Because he trusts Triple H to do it. So there's no question between he and Stephanie that there is a plan in place. Sorry, I got distracted, but my family's insane. It's crazy to me. It's such a bad article. It's just such a bad article. It drives me crazy. And of course, because this is what they do. Of course, they write it. They write this article right when things are at their peak. Things are peaking. The million subscribers, the surge in the stock market and everything for WWE. This is where they write, "Oh, don't be fooled. Don't be fooled." It's just stupid. And of course, it shouldn't be a big surprise that it's a Yahoo thing. It shouldn't be a surprise at all. So that drove me crazy. It made my mind go just because it doesn't make a lot of sense. The aging thing too, the aging superstar. I mean, there is arguably more young talent in the WWE than there has been since the Attitude Era. You look around, talent is coming up through the ranks. Talent is on the main roster now. There is a core right now within WWE, not NXT, in WWE. There is a core of guys that we have not seen the likes of talent-wise since the Attitude Era. Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, Bray Wyatt, Rusev. We're talking 6, 7 guys. Dolph Ziggler. You know, that we have not seen the likes of these guys at the same time on the roster, no injuries, all healthy, ready to go. That has not happened within the WWE in years. 10 years we're talking about this type of talent. So, and that's not even taking consideration all of the talent that is loaded down in NXT. And what's WWE doing right now? The same thing as some of the other major minor wrestling companies, I should say. They're looking to bring in more talent. Ring of Honor is being prepared right now. They are preparing because they understand there are a lot of wrestlers within their ranks that are about to be jumping ship because they know the bigger promotions are starting to hire again. So Ring of Honor, once again, will be mined for all of its talent, all of its young up-and-coming talent. And WWE is looking at a few of those guys right now, and gals. The wrestling industry is starting to grow again. It is starting to hit a new apex. Television programming is starting to pick it up again. We're getting the return of Tough Enough. NXT is growing. All of these things are happening. And, you know, it's not just in the United States. The British boot camp for TNA has been going on for like a couple of years now, and it's still happening. TNA is like more popular in the UK than WWE is, or at least it was a couple of years ago. I don't know what the numbers are now. Wrestling is becoming mainstream accepted again on a level that we haven't seen in a long time. And people want to ignore that and just throw copious amounts of hatred. But the reality is the trend is going upwards right now for the WWE. The on-screen product has gotten better, but it's supposed to during this time. It's crazy to me. This is great. These type of articles are just so stupid, so ill thought. It just drives me nuts. Some new details on the Justin Gabriel situation has come out, so I want to talk about that. First, who the hell cares about Justin Gabriel? That's the first thing I want to talk about. I like Justin Gabriel, by the way. I want to preface it with that. But the guy was not getting over. he had the 450 splash, one of the most beautiful versions of the 450 I've ever seen. So effortless. But the reality is the guy didn't have much more than that. He's a decent worker. He's not a top talent. He's not one of those amazing blue chip talents that everybody saw was like, oh, he's going to be amazing. No, you saw his 450 and you were like, oh, wow. And that's about it. He's a guy who would get dark matches and work the main event, the show main event, not be in the main event, of course. If he was in the 90s, he was your superstars guy. But that wasn't good enough, and he got frustrated with the lack of creative. So, one day he shows up to work, sees that once again he's not being utilized. So what does he do? He leaves the arena in the middle of the day, and based on who you're listening to, he either went sightseeing or he went skydiving, one of the two. He returns later on in the day, hours later, still absolutely nothing. So he says, fuck it, I'm out. He gets on a plane, he flies home. Apparently, between connecting flights, he got a call from WWE Talent Relations head Mark Carano. And Carano said, hey, we got you booked for a Raw segment, but we can't find you. What's going on? And Gabriel said, hey, I'm out, buddy. I'm done. I'm quitting. I'm out. I'm CM Punking this bitch. I'm walking out. And that's the worst thing you can do. Because Gabriel just shot himself in the foot, not just for WWE, but for the entire wrestling industry. He thinks that his talent is going to take him to another organization. He might not be correct here. Because this looks really ugly. And maybe he'll go somewhere else. Maybe TNA will take a chance on him. But Justin Gabriel's never going to be a humongous star. At least I don't think he is. Maybe it's possible he is going to break out somewhere, but I don't see it. I don't think he's shown that type of ability. He was a good, decent worker, but he's not a guy who's going to headline in New Japan Pro Wrestling. You think he's going to break out in somewhere where there's actual serious roster depth? Gabriel's been on the WWE roster for a long time, and in times where there was desperate need for talent to step up, and he never got the call. There's a reason for it. Now, we could sit here and be like, oh, well, Dave, look at all the talent this guy has. He's got all kinds of friggin' talent. We've seen it. Don't you think WWE has had a better look at him than we have? Don't you think they've seen him a little bit more than we do? And if they can't find a spot for him when it was one of the weakest times in roster history, then maybe there's a problem there. Maybe there's a problem there. But I don't know. The guy can't talk. That's a big part of it too. He had no charisma. And his look was not great. Let's face it. It was very androgynous. And now, the funny thing is, now WWE might be having a gay character. That Kalisto guy from Lucha Dragons. It looks like he might be repackaged as a gay character without a mask. That's kind of crazy. There's nothing wrong with it. I think it might work. I don't know if it'll work on the main roster, but it's kind of interesting. Why couldn't Justin Gabriel be that guy? Because they don't see that in him. That's why. They don't see him in it. Oh, my stomach is doing all kinds of crazy things. Oof. So it's crazy. This week has been a very interesting week for the WWE. A lot of stuff has been going on. A lot of reactions. I read the SmackDown spoilers. I'm not going to go ahead and go through them because I never do. Sometimes I'll talk about one or two things. There is one thing I want to talk about. Actually, two things from those spoilers. One, apparently in Colorado Springs, there is no booze for Roman Reigns. So, as I've been saying from the get-go, I did not think this was a Batista situation. I felt it was a Philadelphia crowd thing. And it wasn't just a Philadelphia crowd thing, by the way. If that was just a regular show, a regular Raw, Roman Reigns would have came out. He wouldn't have got booed. It was a Royal Rumble in conjunction with being in Philadelphia. And the fact that they weren't going to accept anything less than Daniel Bryan having a spectacular run in that Rumble. I don't think Daniel Bryan necessarily had to win, but the Final Four had to look something like this: Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan, and Dolph Ziggler. Maybe Wyatt in there, Rusev, whatever. Those guys had to be in that mix, and they just didn't do it. They dropped the ball. They made a mistake. They screwed up. They overestimated The Rock's ability to save the segment. I think that's one of the biggest problems. They thought giving The Rock, having him come out was going to save everything, and it was going to make Reigns look great. Well, it didn't. In fact, it made him look worse. They were wrong. They do get things wrong. But Philadelphia was not going to accept anything less than that. And they didn't. But that doesn't mean that the rest of the wrestling world was going to do the same, because of how over Roman Reigns was prior to that event. And he was. He was super over prior to that event. So that's proven to be true. The more time that goes on, the more that we see it. The more that we see that people are still going to cheer this guy. If you didn't notice that Daniel Bryan got booed on Monday night when he brought up Roman Reigns in a negative light, then you're just simply not paying attention. And you need to be, because it's there. And it's crazy to think about. Daniel Bryan got booed. To think Daniel Bryan would get booed anywhere at this point should tell you just how much power Roman Reigns truly has with the fan and the fan base that he has. You know, people actually attacked me. Some people, I think in the Google Plus places, attacked me when I said that Roman Reigns, his popularity was just as big as Daniel Bryan's was a few weeks ago. But it's true. It was, and it's proving to be true. So when Roman Reigns came out in Colorado Springs, it should not be a big surprise when you watch SmackDown that will be one of the only things that's not edited, because his reaction was that good, apparently. The other thing I wanted to talk about is just this weird stuff that continues to happen with Daniel Bryan. He does have a match. He has a handicap match. I'll say that. And then during the match, yeah. It's a musical sneeze day. Yeah. What? Why are you looking at me like that? You wish you could sneeze musically, babe. You can't sneeze more musically beautiful than I can.
I wanted to.
Why wouldn't you want to?
Because I just want to get it out and over with. And I don't want to sing afterwards or during it.
Wow, that's your same methodology when it comes to sex. Yep. Just get it out and over with, and I definitely don't want to sing after. See, I want to stay in as long as possible, and I always want to sing after. That's just me. We're just different people, babe. We're just different people.
Oh, well.
What was I talking about? Ah,
Boy toy.
Oh, Roman Reigns? He's not my boy toy.
Yes, man.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember where I was going with it. I'm completely lost now. But that's okay. The point is, Roman Reigns is definitely... Oh, yeah, that's right. Daniel Bryan, towards the end of the match, or somewhere in there, once again, they insert Kane into the situation. I thought that the Kane thing was done. I thought it was over. We were done with this scenario. Apparently not. And I don't understand that at all. That makes no sense. By the way, I've opened up Skype. I'm looking for any of you guys who are constantly writing me on a daily basis. I want to be on the show, Dave. Well, I go on around this time every single day, which somewhere between 11 and 2 in the middle of the day for me here in Germany. And I understand that where you are in the world, that's pretty early for you, because if you're on the East Coast, it's 6 hours behind me. And if you're on the West Coast, you're 9 hours. I get that. But if you want to be on so bad, then you need to have the dedication to get up and be ready in case I open up Skype and look to have you on, because I'm looking to have somebody come on and talk to me right now. And you're not there. Nobody's there. But it is what it is. So what do you guys think of all the stuff that's going on with SmackDown? Why are they continuing to have Kane be in this situation with Daniel Bryan? And is there a possibility we might get a Kane-Daniel Bryan match after all the things that have been teased and talked about with Bryan and Ziggler, and now Bryan being in the main event at Fastlane for the number one contendership with Roman Reigns? But is it really just going to fall to Kane and Daniel Bryan? Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. I got a whole bunch of questions on Twitter yesterday I want to address that for a moment because there were a lot of good questions. And here's the thing about me, and this is why I asked earlier in the show for a social media guy, because I hate typing. I mean, I'll still do my tweeting and stuff. I don't want someone to take that over, but I absolutely hate typing. I just hate it. I'd rather talk. This is what I do. But there was a guy, and I hope I can find them, that just kept asking question after question. It was great. There were so many questions that he ended up asking. So I want to talk about a little bit of that for a moment. So, hold on. Let me find it. Well, I can't find it. I just put XSplit on pause to go look for it for a few minutes, and I could not find it. So whoever it was who tweeted me all these great questions that I responded to on Twitter, I apologize that I'm not talking about it now on the show, but I can't find it because I'm terrible at most things. So there you go. I think I'm going to close here with talking a little bit more about the interview, the podcast, Stone Cold Steve Austin's podcast with Triple H, because I may have undersold just how good it was. And I was pretty in love with it. But now watching it again, God, that was a great friggin' interview. I mean, if you are not satisfied with that, what more do you want to hear? What more? I mean, yes, was some of it ambiguous? It was to a point, some of the things that he was saying. But he was saying the words in such a great way because everything that he was talking about, you knew the things that he was talking about. You understood the things he was saying. He didn't need to get specific with certain things because we understood the things that he was saying. I mean, at least if you were watching that podcast, at the very least, you should be one of those people who were understanding. He didn't need to say, Chyna's a porn star. That's the reason why she's not in WWE. Now, look, there was another article that I read that almost made my head explode about saying how Triple H's argument for why she's not in the Hall of Fame doesn't hold water. They're saying because the WWE has placed its divas in the past into Playboy and stuff. Okay, that's true. And they do have a current diva on the roster, Lana, who has multiple nude photos out of her. And they're fantastic. I get lost in the Lana vortex. I will look at those photos for hours because I'm sick and I can't help myself. But here's the difference. For one, when they were pushing people to go to Playboy, it was a different era. Okay? That's one. Two, doing Playboy and then doing a porn where you are playing a professional wrestler that is getting drilled by multiple guys. She did gangbang porn. Gangbang porn, for Christ's sake. And I'm not looking down upon the porn industry at all. But Triple H had a damn good point. If an 8 or 9-year-old is watching Raw or seeing that Chyna is getting put into the Hall of Fame, they don't know who Chyna is, but they know what Google is. And they will Google her. How do I know this? This is how I know it. I could tell a story that references exactly what the hell I'm talking about. My daughter hears me say ridiculous things sometimes. She heard a word she didn't know. Lesbian. She heard me say it. Did not know what it meant. But what do I always tell my kid? If she doesn't understand something, ask me. If I can't tell you what it is, Google it. Or if you're in a situation where I'm not around or something, don't be afraid to Google it. Find out information. And Google's a great way to find out information. I taught her how to use it properly, so she knows exactly where to look if she wants to educate herself on something. Because the best way to learn information is to look it up yourself. Now, granted, we don't have to look in an encyclopedia to do it anymore like I did as a kid, but Google's just as effective. So she heard me say the word lesbian. What did she do? She looked it up. And she saw lesbian things. And then I saw it. And I was like, what the hell? She said, well, you told me to look things up I didn't understand. So egg was on my friggin' face. The same thing would happen with Chyna. Some 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old, 11-year-old, whatever, is going to be like, well, who's Chyna? Well, that's a weird way to spell her name. Chyna. Okay. Oh, my God, what is happening? Why are dicks big shoved into Chyna? That's what would happen. And you can't associate that with the Hall of Fame. You're not, at least not right now. People will lose their minds. Can you imagine the mainstream media attention if a porn star got put into the WWE Hall of Fame? If they announced Chyna in this year's Hall of Fame induction class, it will be all over everywhere. There would be so much outrage over it. There really would. There would be a backlash that I don't think most people are taking into consideration. Do I think it's right she's not in the Hall of Fame? No, I don't think it's right because she belongs. She might be the most influential and groundbreaking women's wrestler of all time, and she rarely gets talked about anymore. This woman held the Intercontinental title with fucking effectiveness, by the way, with pride. She had matches for the Intercontinental Championship with Chris Jericho, with Eddie Guerrero, and she held her own in those matches. I mean, come on. Come on. What is left to say? She belongs. There's no question. Chyna could have been a world champion. And believable. Believable. Because she was good. She had the right look. You take off the boobies, especially because she basically looked mannish when she first came in. I didn't know she was a girl when I first saw her. No idea. When she was bringing out Triple H and stuff, I had no idea that was a woman at first. I double took. I was like, what? What? Because that's a man face. She's a man, baby. But it is what it is. I'm a fan of Chyna. Both her ring work and her porn work. I ain't too ashamed to admit it. I watched her porn and I enjoyed it greatly. But I don't know if it's a good idea to put her into the Hall of Fame at this time. And everything Triple H said was 100% correct. As with most of what he said during that interview. So let me know what you guys thought of the interview. Let me know what you think of this entire show. Tell me the different aspects. What's your opinions on the UFC? And remember, and performance-enhancing drugs and all that. Remember, if you want to be a part of the show in a more engrossing manner, if you want to really get your finger on the pulse of this show and help me out in the social media world, any suggestions are welcome. Let me know, and we can make that happen. There's Hulk Hogan's butt. Yep, there it is. Hulk Hogan's butt. Boo, John Cena. Boo. All right, but that's it. Thank you guys for joining me once again right here on Dead on Dave Productions. Hope you enjoyed the show. Like, share, subscribe, and we will see you next time. Peace.